The influencer weddings this year have been crazy, but I have to say this is the first time that I've actually been enjoying wedding content. Usually I'm not super moved by wedding content, but these weddings, like, and also just everyone talking about them and having their different opinions on them and the styles and the looks, the aesthetics, the vibes has all been super interesting for me, especially because, I'm super into astrology. So I caught myself wondering quite a few times, like, I wonder what this person's Venus sign is. So yeah, I thought it would be fun to just kind of break down a few of the most talked about influencer weddings this year and the bride's Venus and moon sign, because I think along doing this and just thinking about it deeper, the moon sign actually is more prominent in the overall wedding style than Venus, which makes sense because moon represents, the things that are most intimate to you, where you feel most comfortable, most at home. So of course, an intimate, close event like a wedding would be reflected by your moon sign. So we're going to be looking at 3 different influencer weddings. I think that they all have very different styles and you can really feel those different vibes. I wanted to start with Shay Sullivan because this was the first wedding that really kind of gagged me, to be honest. I remember seeing these photos and feeling like, wow, that is beautiful. Like, she looks insane. Obviously, they are models and content creators, but I was very, very just blown away. And maybe because actually, so I have the same Venus as her moon sign, which she has a moon in Leo. That's another important note. So I use sidereal Vedic astrology. I will put the tropical placements on the screen so that you can, so that you don't get confused, hopefully. But all of the placements that I'm going to mention are their sidereal placements. So if we look at Shay's chart, she has her moon in Leo and Venus in Scorpio. For her moon, depending on the birth time, could change. It could go into Virgo, but I'm pretty confident that she has a moon in Leo. So we're just going to talk about it as if her moon is for sure in Leo. But I always know when Leo is somewhere in the room, okay? And this wedding was oozing Leo to me. Why did I feel that? It's because Leo is represented by the extravagance and feeling king-like almost, so it gives a royal feel. And you can really see that with the photos, her dress, her statement, jewelry pieces. It's all very typical Leo. Also, even how glamorous and editorial this wedding was. Again, Leo is about the artistic flair. It's about the kind of star power, charisma, and being able to draw attention to you naturally. So this wedding being so talked about, but she has her moon with the North Node in Leo, which not only amplifies, how much the Leo qualities are going to show up in her life, her personality, and her aesthetics, but also I feel like it was maybe why she was more inclined to have a destination wedding and have her wedding and honeymoon in a foreign place, because the North Node is represented by foreign things. So the idea that you want you and your family to celebrate such an intimate moment in a foreign place is very North Node like. So I did think that that was an interesting connection. Another thing that you can feel in the vibe of her wedding and her content is a sort of sex appeal. And that actually segues me into her Venus sign. Her Venus is in Scorpio, and you really feel that because in her photos, there is a sort of expression of sexy and kind of pushing the envelope a little bit in that way and in the style. And there's also a depth in like the photos that she chose. There's like a mystery, a depth in the eyes. That's something very Scorpio-esque. Like people with prominent Scorpio placements, you'll always feel an intensity in their eyes. And the photos have a sort of shadowy element to them. They're emotional. There's a story there. And I feel like that is a perfect mix of the Leo and Scorpio energy, which are completely different energies, by the way. So it's interesting to see them coming together. But definitely in her after party is where her Venus in Scorpio is shining. It's at full 100% being exemplified. you know, you have this very kind of dark, you have this very kind of dark, sexy, interesting energy. It's so funny because someone had commented on her Instagram post of the after party being like, what the F is this? Like, what's going on? Something like that. And it had a lot of likes, which again, Scorpio is about the taboo. It's about what happens in the dark, what happens behind the scenes. So that after party, like I said, just was so Venus in Scorpio. So next I wanted to take a look at Jordyn Woods' wedding, which is one of the most recent influencer weddings. And I also really love this wedding. I think it was very beautiful and heartwarming. And let's look at her like teaser video.
August 15th, 2026, this is my real game 5.
So in the teaser video, I instantly was feeling the energy of Gemini. I was thinking Gemini Venus or Gemini Moon, and she does in fact have a Gemini Moon. And hers is for sure Gemini Moon, no matter what time she was born, it would be there. But the reason that I guessed that and the energy that I feel that was very Gemini was it's very playful, it has comedic effect, lighthearted and fun. People were laughing in the clips that they chose. Even the music, you know, it had this kind of lighthearted vintage vibe to it. And her Venus is in Libra, which you can also see because Libra is about refinement, the soft, the feminine. And, you know, you really see that in her aura. Also in some of her wedding looks, she really highlighted the soft pinks and pastel pinks, which again is so Libra. And Libra is also represented by balance. So I thought it was so fitting that she had her guests come in black because again, it creates that perfect juxtaposition from the white to the black. And even you see this photo with her sister, again, it's a perfect balance. You know, you have this yin yang effect. And I know a lot of people were talking about, you know, the guests of Jordyn Woods' wedding. I also thought they were looking a mess. It made no sense to me why they had their coochie beans out and see-through and all of that. But because Jordyn has her moon in Gemini, I'm sure she probably was just wanting people to enjoy themselves and be happy, and she probably didn't care that much about what everybody wore. However, she might have felt a way about the photos and the fact that other people were perceiving it bad because, you know, that Venus in Libra still does care about aesthetics and how things look overall. Like her wedding style definitely leaned a lot more on her Venus sign, whereas with Shay's, it seemed to lean more on her moon sign for the actual wedding. And the last wedding I wanted to look at is Danielle Walter, who also was the wedding talk of the town, not for the best reasons, but yes, I wanted to look at her wedding not because I was particularly drawn to her wedding style or anything, but more so because, you know, it had a very particular vibe to it, so I thought it would be interesting to see. And I think that they did like a city hall just between them two and had just a celebration after party or dinner. I'm not sure. But anyways, you can see in her wedding photos, there was a lot of reds, deep blood reds, velvet, very dark spaces, and again, shadowy type of energy, which we talked about with the Venus in Scorpio from Shay. And of course, Danielle has her moon in Scorpio. So, you know, you really feel these dark themes. And Danielle also has her sun and North Node, I believe, in Scorpio. So she has an emphasis on Scorpio energy, which, again, it's not surprising that people might find her mysterious or confusing or a bit taboo in some ways. But yes, you can definitely see the Scorpio influence in her dinner setup. Like, again, it's super dark in there, but her Venus is actually in Sagittarius. And at first I was not really seeing too much Sagittarius influence at all. But then I thought about it. One, having your wedding at a city hall or just like an elopement style, which I think they did, is definitely a Venus and Sagittarius type of thing. Sagittarius want to do things their own way. They can be very fast because there's that adventurous side of them. But also, obviously, the biggest nod to her Venus in Sagittarius is her husband. He is a foreigner. I believe he's from Brazil. So it is very typical for people with Venus in Sagittarius to be attracted to foreigners, foreign places, foreign things. And yes, so there's that. And also this photo here, you know, she posed in front of books, which I also thought was an interesting nod to her Venus in Sagittarius because, you know, Sagittarius is about learning, it's about knowledge. So it felt very literal that she would want to be photographed in front of books. So yes, I think that's all in regards to Danielle Walters' wedding. Anyways, if you like astrology content, again, please like, comment, subscribe. Also, let me know your Venus and moon sign and your aesthetic style or how your wedding was. And also, if you have any other ideas for astrology videos and astrology breakdowns, don't hesitate to comment them below. So yeah.